Reboots. Hmm. Feels like every time I turn around, Hollywood's digging up another old favorite. But Matlock, back from the dead in 2024 with Kathy Bates.
Okay, that one got my attention. What do you think? Just a cash grab or something more?
See, that's what's so fascinating. You take this well-loved procedural, the TV equivalent of comfort food, but there's this layer of, I don't know, intentionality to it. Because let's be real, Kathy Bates, she doesn't just phone it in.
No kidding. We're talking Oscar winner, Emmy winner, a whole highlight reel of iconic roles. She could be doing those retirement home commercials, but she picks Matlock. The articles kept saying this is her last act, and honestly, that's what hooked me. Why would an actress at the top of her game even think about walking away?
Honestly, framing it as her last act is brilliant. Adds this whole other dimension to the show. Like, it's not just Matlock's story, it's potentially Kathy Bates's too. And knowing that she almost quit acting entirely, suddenly every scene has this weight to it,
Yeah.
sense of meaning you wouldn't get otherwise. Okay, so we've got this legendary actress, a potentially career-defining role, and a show everyone's buzzing about. But what is the new Matlock actually about? We all remember Andy Griffith, that good-natured lawyer charming his way through cases. How do you even update that for 2024?
Well, imagine this. Instead of Andy, we get Madeline Matlock. Still a Southern lawyer, but sharp as a whip. Think, Miss Marple meets Law and Order with a dash of Southern charm for good measure. And the show really plays with that, the contrast. Like, it makes you confront your expectations. What should a legal drama look like? What can an older female character be?
And it's not just about solving crimes, right? The articles mention something about ageism, how society treats women as they get older.
100%. There's even a line in the pilot, Matty says, "This funny thing happens when women age, we become damn near invisible." And that's the heart of the show right there. It forces you to see those unconscious biases, how we underestimate older women, dismiss them, overlook them.
Which is something that, unfortunately, resonates beyond the screen. Didn't Kathy Bates herself say she felt invisible in Hollywood? Even after all the awards.
Exactly. She talked about going on studio tours and being completely ignored. Oscar winner, Emmy winner, it didn't matter. It's this stark reminder, how we devalue women as they age, their accomplishments, their experiences. It's like they don't count anymore.
So knowing that, all the challenges she's faced, what was it about Matlock specifically that made her sign on?
In interviews, she said this role let her bring everything to the table. And I think that's it right there. This isn't just another gig for her. This is the culmination of her entire career, all those years of experience, all that talent. She's playing this complex, layered woman who defies expectations, and she's bringing everything she's got.
And Maddie's not just solving random cases, is she? There's something more, a fire in her belly. At least that's the vibe I got from the articles.
You nailed it. There's something driving her. She's out to expose this huge pharma conspiracy, but there's this personal edge to it too. Like, she wants justice, but it's fueled by this deep sense of being wronged. She's not just going to expose the truth, she wants payback.
It's like they took the sweet old lady trope and said, not today, honey.
Yeah.
I love it. But this complexity, it's not just Maddie, right? The articles mention something about a mostly female cast.
Yeah.
Is there a theme here? Like, are we going to see more of these multifaceted older women?
Absolutely. For starters, you've got Skye P. Marshall playing Olympia. She's Maddie's boss at the firm. Ambitious, no nonsense, and at first, she's not quite sure what to make of Maddie. But even early on, you see there's more to her than meets the eye.
Ooh, I love those still waters run deep types. Are they allies?
Yeah.
Rivals? A little to both.
That's the thing. It's all still developing. But it's clear these women are not just background characters. They have their own ambitions, their own secrets. And seeing how they interact with Maddie, how they challenge her, but also support her, let's just say it adds another layer of intrigue to the show.
Okay, so we've been dancing around this whole pharma conspiracy.
Right.
What can you actually tell me without ruining the fun? What's the deal with this company Maddie's going after?
That's where it gets really interesting. The show is so well crafted, the way it reveals information little by little. But we know this pharmaceutical giant is shady. Cutting corners, putting profits over patients, that kind of thing.
Classic corporate greed, but with potentially life-altering consequences.
Exactly. And for Maddie, it's not just about uncovering the truth, it's about accountability. There's this sense that there's a massive cover-up going on, a betrayal of trust that goes way deeper than anyone realizes.
And Maddie's right there in the thick of it, working at this high-powered firm. Like a fly on the wall, but with better access.
And she's not just observing, she's playing the game, using that Southern charm, that disarming personality, to gather information, make people drop their guard.
Wait, are you saying this whole sweet Southern lady thing is a strategy?
Brilliant, right. She's using those stereotypes to her advantage. They underestimate her, write her off, and bam, she blindsides them with the truth.
Okay, that's a twist I didn't see coming.
Yeah,
It's like she's turning those ageist, sexist assumptions on their head, using them as a weapon.
precisely. It's about turning what people perceive as a weakness into a strength, which goes back to that core message of the show, right? Just because if someone is older doesn't mean they're not sharp, capable, maybe even a little dangerous if they need to be.
I mean, come on. This is the woman who survived misery. I would not want to cross her. Speaking misery, it's interesting to think about Kathy Bates's career, all the roles she's played. This one feels different.
Definitely. There's this authenticity to her performance as Matty, this depth of understanding I'm not sure anyone else could bring to the role.
Like she's channeling all those years of experience, those moments of being underestimated, and pouring it into this character.
Exactly. And it's not just about her own experiences. It's about giving a voice to a whole group of people who are often ignored and marginalized.
And that's what's so compelling about this whole thing. It's a reboot, yeah, but it's so much more than that. It takes this familiar format, the legal procedural, but uses it to explore these really timely issues. Ageism, female empowerment, finding your voice, even when people try to silence you. It's like they took the whole Matlock formula, the underdog thing, and said, what if we made people think too? Still entertaining, but it makes you stop and look in the mirror a little.
That's what makes it more than just a feel-good legal show, right? It's starting a conversation, holding up a mirror to society and saying, we need to talk about this. Because ageism, especially against women, it's everywhere. So ingrained we don't even notice it half the time.
And I love that it's not preachy at all. They're not standing on a soapbox. It's just woven into the whole fabric of the show.
Exactly. It lets the audience make those connections themselves because who hasn't felt underestimated at some point? Like your experience doesn't count. And seeing Matty navigate that world, an older woman coming out on top, it's not just fun to watch, it's actually kind of inspiring.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The premise, Kathy Bates being amazing, as always, these great female characters, and this pharma thing bubbling under the surface. But before we go, you mentioned the production design plays into the themes too. What did you mean by that?
Oh, it's subtle, but really clever. So they actually reused the same set from other shows. Dressed it up differently, but essentially repurposed it for Matlock.
Wait, really? That's interesting.
Right, and it speaks to that whole resourcefulness thing. Older women, especially in the workplace, they're often given fewer opportunities, but they make it work. They find ways to innovate, to excel anyway.
So that choice, it's like a visual metaphor for what the show's about.
Exactly, and Matlock is full of these little details, layers of meaning. So you're not just watching, you're thinking about society, about getting older, about the power of, not giving up.
You've convinced me. It's going straight on my watch list. More than a reboot, it's like a reimagining, something to talk about. I have a feeling this one's going to stick with me.
That's the sign of a great story, isn't it? It stays with you, makes you see things a little differently.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, there you have it. A deep dive into the new Matlock. Proof that sometimes the most unexpected stories hit the hardest. Until next time, keep those minds open and remember, the people you underestimate most are often the ones who surprise you the most.